Hello everyone, it is Thursday, March 5th, and I have been crocheting. So, as I mentioned in my last video, I have a niece that's having a baby in the middle of next month. So, I have been working on a gift for her. Well, I already have some, which I'm going to show you, but I happened to notice on Bag O' Day's site that she had a bunting recently that she made. So I made that bunting. Whoops. And here it is. Let's see, I don't know if you can see the whole thing. The little pointed hat part. Anyways, I haven't sewn on the buttons yet. And I have these little tiny buttons, not too tiny, but they look like they're these little, let's see, octopus. So I have 3 of those. I'm going to sew those on. Now, one thing that I will say about this pattern is that not all yarns work up the same way, even if they're all number 4. And I used, for the white part, this Big Twist value yarn, and the Big Twist is sort of a thin 4. In fact, this is an, let's see, how many ounces is this? This is a 6-ounce skein, but it has more yards than a regular, let's see, do I have one? No, I don't have one close by. But it has more yards than, say, a regular red heart skein of this approximate size. So, therefore, you know it's a thinner yarn. So, this is done in the primrose stitch, and you did 72 rows. And for her, the yarn she used, at 72 rows, she's at 39.5 inches, but for me, I was at 36 inches, and that's using the same hook size. So that just tells you different yarns work up differently. So I actually added more rows to make it be like 39-40 inches. So I think I've got 80 rows total. And so, because it's a 2-row repeat to do the primrose, as most of you probably know, but that only, each 2 rows repeat only added 1 inch, so I needed to add more inches. Anyhow, so I have that, and then up here, this is an addition that I made, is I put a shell border just on the hood part. And so what I did was I laid out the hood as flat as possible and put a stitch marker on each corner. And then I just did the shells between those stitch markers so that I wouldn't go beyond the hood. So, okay, so that's one thing that I've got for her. Then, excuse the rattling. And I didn't just make these, I've had these for a long time, waiting for a niece or nephew to finally have a baby. So, let's see, they're all tied together. Okay, so it doesn't matter if it's boy or girl to wear these colors, it just doesn't matter. Okay, so this is one little pair of booties. Let's see, whoops, here we go. And let's see, here's a little pair of ladybug booties. It's kind of blowing out, but those are ladybug buttons. I don't even remember where I got this pattern. Okay, ignore the little ribbon, they're just tied together. Okay, let's see, these are some little shoes, I guess more girl oriented. And these contain some Red Heart Bonbon yarn, which I haven't had that for ages, so that tells you how long ago I made that. You know, these might be like on the Red Heart website, is one of their patterns. Okay, and so then I have these little booties here, and they have a little flower to tie them with. So anyhow, so I've got those four. They don't really match anything. I'm going to make a couple little baby hats. And then this I made a while ago. Once again, waiting for my niece or nephew to have a baby. My niece and nephew are twins. They got married a month apart. And the niece is the first one. And they got married this year will be 4 years ago. Okay, so I made this blanket, and let me tell you, I was ready to throw it against the wall when I first started working on it. But it's the Call the Midwife blanket. And it's in minty green and white. And just so happens my niece, the baby colors, well, one of them is minty green, so it's perfect for her. And she's also doing like a theme of horses for the baby. So I went into my amigurumi stash, and I didn't just make these either, but she's gonna get these. I haven't shown these. I don't know if I've ever shown these. Okay. Let me just fluff him up. He's been in the bag for a while. Okay, here's this one little horse. I think he's made with Red Heart Mexicana yarn or Fiesta yarn. I'm not sure. I wanted to have something that looked kind of Fiesta. So anyways, there he is. His little purple hair. And then I have one in the same pattern, but a zebra. And then I have this little unicorn, this little happy unicorn. So she'll be getting all of those. Okay. So, yeah. Okay, so what else have I been working on? Well, oh, I should tell you that this, let's go back to this bunting again. Crystal said it took her about 600 yards, but I didn't go through nearly 600 yards, maybe 500 of this big twist. Because when I got to row 72, I was kind of playing yarn chicken with the first row to see if I could get all 72 rows done. And I was like 3 shells short before I had to change into the second row. And I hardly used any. So that tells you, it just depends on the thickness of the yarn. Anyhow, okay. So enough of that one for a little while. Yeah, I'm gonna spoil this niece, and then if my nephew's wife gets pregnant in the next few years, then I will spoil her too. Okay, the last time I made a video I talked about not having any more of this Icelandic yarn, but my order came in. I got this. I just ordered from one seller on eBay who had this and this. So I got those two, and I'm back to making my Icelandic granny squares that look like this. And I'm pairing them with white because it lightens up this darkness. As you can see, this ball is much darker than the square. So putting in white really helps bring out the colors, and I'm going to even put some sparkle white in some of these to get rid of that sparkle white that I bought from Hobby Lobby that I didn't like very much. So right now I have 10 of these, and when I get to 35 I'll put them together and have a new blanket, and that will be a gift for somebody. So that has been my crochet world. Then I have gone through 2 boxes of pennies, that's 5,000 pennies, and a box of nickels, that's 2,000 nickels. And I have to say, I was a little disappointed the time I got a box of pennies and a box of nickels because I couldn't find a single foreign in them, not even a Canadian. So that was a little disappointing. I'm not necessarily looking for Canadian coins, but you just like to find them. You like to find anything that's unusual beyond what you need just to fill your books. So didn't find any. And then last night I was going through a box and I was near the end of the box and I thought, oh no, 3 boxes in a row without any foreign coins. And then I found 2 Canadians in 1 roll, and those were the only Canadians I found. So yeah, it's interesting, and you do find interesting stuff. It's not just about filling the books. I mean, I look at every single one, and some I look at more closely than others. Some I just kind of off to the side. It goes off, it goes. And last night I found one that I wouldn't have necessarily looked at too closely unless I'd heard somebody else mention this particular kind of marking on this coin. And what it is, it's kind of like a wood grain texture on the coin. I mean, it's not that texture, but it just looks like wood grain almost. And I found one. I mean, now I've looked through, gosh, well, 5 boxes of pennies, so that's 12,500 pennies. And that's the first one I found that I noticed. So I pulled that one out. I think I may have found a gold-plated one where most of the gold has worn off, but they're still pretty heavily gold-toned. You know, and it's not worth anything more than really a penny, maybe 2 cents. But it's just, you know, you find weird stuff. And my nickels, I'm trying to think if I found anything interesting in the nickels. Well, I did want to mention that there are, just like the 2009 pennies are commemorative and a little hard to find, they're low mintage. There are some 2004, 2005 commemorative nickels, and they're not low mintage. They're common, they're very easy to find, but just so you know, they detail the Lewis and Clark expedition. So there's 4 different backs, and of course there's 2 different main mints, so there's a total of 8 that you need. But yeah, there's the Lewis and Clark expedition. I'm going to take a picture of my of the backs to show you what they look like. 2 of the fronts look like the just regular Jefferson nickels, but 2 of them have a larger profile, and I will show that as well. So just so you know, if you see them in your change, those are the commemorative ones. So I'm going to put the picture right here, or 2 pictures. Okay, and now for a slight change of subject. Not that I'm not really worried about the coronavirus, but a lot of people are. And there's been runs on toilet paper and bottled water and hand sanitizers and bleach and all that good stuff. But I did go to the store yesterday, did manage to get some toilet paper, because sometimes you have to stock just to make sure you have some in case, because everybody else is panicking, so you got to make sure that at least you're stocked up, so that while the panic's happening, you're like taken care of. And I did get some bottled water. It was like half empty. The shelves are pretty empty of the toilet paper. You couldn't get like necessarily the brands that you normally buy. So I had to get some off-brand, and I'm like, oh, it's okay. But anyhow, you might see that in your area if people starting to panic. So just make sure that at least you're stocked up in case there is a panic, that you're covered through the panic. So, yeah. And I guess that's about it for this video. And I hope you all have a great rest of the week. And I will show you my more baby items probably the next video. And yeah, that's where we're at. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.